What would you say to a guy who's just, you know, not popular with women and basically a loser, you know? No money.
Day 286 of living in my car. I'm 50 years old.
No social skills. Don't touch the camera. Woman! Woman! Can't get a woman. What if I said I want to get you pregnant?
The time's gonna come when I am financially comfortable and I can have a 20 or a 30-year-old girlfriend when I'm 60 and give us a comfortable life and have a son or a daughter.
Do you like this white chocolate? Did you have a good one? Good session?
It was nice.
How was it for you, baby? How was it? How was tonight? Was it magical? How you feeling?
I feel sleepy.
The correct answer is satisfied.
I pretty much just summarize what Japanese girls are all about. Pretty much just shopping and eating cake. That pretty much just sums them up right there. In Africa, for example, I would meet girls who were just like on the princess level. And pretty soon I understood that if I wasn't going to spend money on them, they weren't going to be around, which is okay. It's like, okay, you're taking your presence away from me, but there's like 1,000 more girls I have a selection of. Some people think that when I'm with a beautiful woman, that I paid her, I'm holding her hostage, or I have given her drugs. I specifically like younger women, no older than 25. And you know, a 25-year-old girl, she's just getting started in life. I wouldn't expect her to be able to pull her share financially. I mean, I would expect to be able to do that. And I can't do that right now. The reason why I'm a boss is because I worked for it. Plain and simple.
Are you attracted to me? See? I just cut the boring questions out. Get to the important questions.
Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, lived a man called Ryan. Discontented with a life in the US, he yeeted off to Japan with nothing but a few suitcases, his television, and a dream to make it in the ruthless, cutthroat world of J-vlogging. J-vloggers truly made it big on YouTube during the 2010s, and Ryan was no exception. He provided us mere small-minded Westerners with a particularly raw and honest view into the harsh realities of life in Japan.
I live my everyday life here. It's not like I wake up every morning and be like, oh yeah, I'm in Japan. I wake up every morning and be like, God damn, I'm in Japan. How am I going to survive another day mentally? I mean, this place is like a freaking prison.
Despite living in a prison, Ryan had a loving and devoted long-term girlfriend. He had various jobs as an English teacher, as well as his oddly successful YouTube channel and many viral vlogs. In fact, his life in Japan allowed him to save enough money to suddenly give it all up in pursuit of the infamous passport bro lifestyle. And if anything, this video is a cautionary tale of how you can go from a retired 40-year-old spending every night with a different woman to a 50-something-year-old spending every night taking a dump in your car before beginning your Uber shift. This, brethren, is what can happen if you, like Ryan, delude yourself into believing that you are truly irresistible to women. Now, in my lesbian line of work, there is only one woman that I am irresistible to. Actually, like Ryan, I just delude myself into thinking she loves me back. I am obsessed with my cat, if you can't tell. Our relationship is the perfect example of unrequited love that we'll be diving into today. And because I would take the sword for my cat, I made it a priority to give her the best life possible, which inevitably includes giving her the best food possible. And that is where the wonderful sponsor of today's video, Catkin, comes into the picture. Now, my little sunbeam has always had digestive issues, smelly poops, inconsistent pooping, demanding more food right after she's eaten, and suffering the consequences of those very, very adorable demands. It was always a most dark time of day when that litter box needed cleaning out. And so I did some sleuthing into what was actually in my cat's food. And although many of the leading cat food brands say their meals are full of nutrients and real meat, most are actually just full of preservatives, fillers, and meat derivatives. We've all seen what highly processed foods are doing to our bodies, so I cannot imagine what harm they're doing to the bodies of our feline friends. And that is where Catkin came in to make me hashtag Cat Mother of the Year. Thank you. Thank you. Unlike your regular cat food, Catkin is 100% real meat. That is 100% fresh meat and fish that's crafted to include a complete vitamin mix for your cat. Catkin recipes contain absolutely no cheap offcuts, fillers, grains, or sugars, and all these delectable recipes have been crafted by Catkin's own board-certified vet nutritionist. And it is so noticeable how full of nutrients and freshness Catkin recipes are. My cat instantly took to these meals. Catkin has crafted 7 delicious recipes that she absolutely adores and cannot get enough of. And importantly, since switching her onto Catkin, her poops have been so firm and so not smelly that cleaning her litter box is a breeze now. I bet Ryan can't say the same. And I can tell how much better she must feel being regular, and importantly for her, being able to get in and out of that litter box like a shot. She zooms around more, sleeps peacefully, and just seems so much happier eating her meals. What I especially love about Catkin is that all their recipes are perfectly portioned to your cat. That is, to their age, their weight, their activity level, and their body. So your cat is actually getting the right portion size for them. My cat... Sorry, I just realized that I never call my cat by her name, like... ever. I've probably only called her Maple 20 odd times in her entire life. I wonder what she would call me. It can't be good. My cat is an indoor cat. She sleeps about 16 hours a day and she plays ferociously. And I really appreciate how Catkin uses all this personal information and data about my cat to formulate her perfect recipes and meals. So if you're ready to transform your cat's meal times, use my unique link down in the description box or scanning my QR code, and you will get an incredible full 50% off your first Catkin trial box. Let me repeat, that's an incredible astronomical 50% off your first trial box using my link down below or scanning my QR code. Thank you so very much to Catkin for helping Maple's gut on its journey to finally being its fullest, happiest self. Her and I are both eternally grateful. And please let me know your cat's names down below. I am so curious, and I think it may lighten the mood when it comes to diving into the question, who is Ryan Boundless?
This is the beginning of my story about how I got to Japan, and it's actually gets more interesting, and I'll talk about that in later stories.
Ryan is a 50-year-old man who in 2011 started his first YouTube channel. Not much is known about his life before this, aside from evidence that he made at least one not safe for work video that made it to a very popular adult website. Ryan has alluded to this, saying that he sometimes had to sell his soul, his body, and his good looks in order to get to where he is in life.
I had to sell my soul. I had to sell my handsome looks. Sometimes I didn't want to. But again, you know, try not to mix work and pleasure, but sometimes even my students, even my coworkers wanted a piece of this, you know?
It was in his early 20s that one day, walking down the street in January of 1991, he saw the most beautiful Japanese woman he had ever seen. After getting her number, they saw each other a few times before she went back home to Japan. Fast forward 8 months, and a 24-year-old Ryan had packed all his meager belongings, including a television, left his job as a cab driver, and moved all the way to Japan after a woman that he'd only met a couple of times. This is something I see a lot with passport bros. They are the male equivalent of the kinds of women who center men but are in complete denial about this. Ryan's entire worldview is orbited around women, which is fascinating considering he knows so little about them. It was in Japan that he decided to become an ESL teacher and, importantly, started his YouTube channel. Now, in total, Ryan would spend over 19 years of his life in Japan, and this was during a time on YouTube where J-vlogging had become a rather major phenomenon. If you don't know, J-vloggers are, but especially in the 2010s, were the highest tier of e-celebrity. These were mainly white Americans and Europeans who moved to Japan on a work visa and vlogged about their daily lives as expats. Their coverage of Japan was universally positive because, importantly, their followers would typically have a somewhat idealistic view of Japanese life, culture, and particularly of Japanese women. Basically, I would say that Japan Japan was the South Korea of the 2010s. It was exerting a soft power that was making a lot of J-vloggers very, very successful on YouTube. During his 19 years in Japan, Ryan would only visit the United States a total of 4 times. He is very critical of America and believes Americans to be small-minded when it comes to understanding the world around them. As such, he doesn't feel American or a part of American life anymore.
All these Americans, like, they think America is the greatest freaking country in the world, and they're so national centric, and you know, they think that the world revolves around them. I don't know, I kind of see, you know, they come off as small-minded.
Ryan's vlogs were absolutely nothing fancy, and yet there was something unique about him, which made it difficult to look away. Unlike his fellow J-vloggers, Ryan's objective wasn't to sell Japan to them. In fact, his entire brand and mission was to essentially let the world know that Japan was a horrible place for especially white men like himself to settle down in. Sure, go and visit for a few weeks, but don't ever think of living there, especially if you are a white male.
You got to find your own happiness here if you're going to be here long term. Some people can do that. I think the most critical element in doing that, after you go through all the sex, all the money, all the partying, all the superficial, oh, let's do Japanese English language exchange, after you get through all that bullshit, you know, that might last you a good 4 or 5 years. You can ride that wave. But after that, you're just going to be left with emptiness. You know, being treated like a second-class citizen, not having your existence acknowledged, being looked over, not being an equal person in the eyes of the majority here. It's very emotionally draining and spiritually crushing.
Basically, Ryan was in a constant battle with so-called weeaboos, as well as the population of Japan itself, at least in his mind.
But if you can just imagine for a second that it might not be as good as you think it is, if there's a chance that I can help one weeaboo, then I want to do that.
This battle was made worse by the fact that rather than simply leave, he insisted on staying and cementing his misery. And it would soon become apparent to his followers that it didn't really matter where Ryan was in the world. Something was always wrong with the local population, or the fact that he was the only white guy in the room.
When I think about it, it's almost overwhelming. You know, I live here day by day, but I mean, I really am a alien here. That's how I feel. It's like, yeah, you have your own little daily routine, and you know the places you go, and there's the people you can talk to in English if you can't speak Thai. But you go outside that little circle and you're lost, you know, you're lost as a foreigner.
Why will men travel the world instead of going to therapy? Why? But I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, when Ryan moved to Japan in his 20s, he had absolutely no savings. However, on reflection, he would claim that he'd moved to Japan not so much after a woman, in as much in pursuit of the funds to retire by the age of 40. This all had to do with him reading the best-selling self-help book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which changed his mindset on money forever. In the US, he'd felt caught up in the 9-to-5 grind, which allowed him nothing more than a vacation, which he'd immediately blow all his savings on. After reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Ryan claims to have started maximizing his streams of income, and by 2011, he would have 4 jobs in Japan. He worked part-time on the weekends, started his own business tutoring English, worked part-time as an English teacher, and started his career as a J-vlogger. Now, as a result of his multiple streams of income, he claimed that he was able to save thousands of dollars a month by the age of 40. And this was something he prided himself on.
I was saving thousands and thousands of dollars every month, and I started when I was 30, and I'm 41 now. So because I was able to live frugally, and I never bought things that I couldn't afford, I didn't have any debt, any loans, you know, I regret that I didn't buy property, but at the same time I had all this cash coming in, and I was just saving and saving. And then I think in 2008, 2009, I started getting into investing. So I had large sums of money, and I started investing my money for long-term investments. And I was just, yeah, like going back to that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I was employing those concepts.
As I I said, his ultimate goal was to retire in his early 40s, and this was something that, according to him, seemed incredibly feasible when pretty much overnight his YouTube channel started to go viral. Now, looking at and listening to Ryan, you may be wondering how on earth this monotoned stud popped off on YouTube, especially in a niche of content dominated by teen girls and women. He doesn't have a natural charisma. Well, firstly, as I mentioned, J-vlogging was huge during the 2010s, and Ryan was an anomaly in this genre of content. It soon became apparent that he was pretty much the only J-vlogger at the time who hated living in Japan, and he made sure that everybody online knew it. It was like something you couldn't look away from out of a morbid sense of curiosity. Secondly, a lot of Ryan's dislike of Japan stemmed from his growing dislike of Japanese people. He clearly saw himself as the antithesis of everything he disliked about them, and as such, he attracted a following of stans and haters who either agreed with him or wanted to virtually destroy him. Unlike Ryan, Japanese people obey road signs, and that, as a result, makes them robots.
Look how everybody waits here. There's not a single car, but they all just wait like obedient robots.
Unlike Ryan, Japanese people aren't friendly.
Because I can say that, yeah, Japanese people are very considerate and polite, but are they genuinely friendly? No, I don't think so. No, just as a whole.
You'd think that Ryan would therefore have wanted to be friendly or would have wanted to hang out with Japanese people if he's so friendly.
Hey guys, I'm just walking around here tonight and it's pretty crowded. Lots of people being loud and drunk and obnoxious. Here's a big group of guys I would not want to hang out with.
I guess not. He also knows everything about Japanese women who don't do anything except shop and eat cake.
Yeah, you can just see the tons of girls out here just because they love shopping, they love coming to town and walking around and window shopping and chatting and going to eat cake. Like that's pretty much, I pretty much just summarize what Japanese girls are all about. Pretty much just shopping and eating cake. That pretty much just sums them up right there. Like if you want to make a Japanese girl happy, like tell her that you want to go shopping and then go and eat some cake, some chocolate cake together. Like she'll probably just have an orgasm right there as soon as you say that.
Now, if I'm 40 and say something as wildly degrading and generalizing as this, please just make it quick. What made this worse was that the woman Ryan was living with in Japan was a woman who we will call Rosie. And Rosie was, not even speaking about looks but personality alone, way out of Ryan's league. She was everything that Ryan seemed to believe Japanese people weren't. She was overly friendly, she thought for herself, she wanted to hang out with him even though she was way out of his league.
Let me call over so you can get an idea of the size. Come here.
Yes, this is a grown man whistling at his girlfriend like she's a dog. And here is yet another reason in my list of why it's cool to be single these days, folks. Rosie pretty much waited on Ryan hand and foot while also working a strenuous, demanding job as the breadwinner of their household.
We worked a 17-hour shift and again stayed up all day, and she cooked us a great Japanese style dinner.
Mind you, in this instance, Ryan spent his day walking around their city, vlogging about how much he hates working in Japan. On this particular instance, he'd gotten a pretty good job offer teaching English. However, the position would require him being given a teaching assistant, which Ryan was just not having.
Well, guess what? Homie, don't play that. I don't do Japanese language assistant teachers. Why? Because it's demeaning. It undermines the authority and equality that you should have as a teacher. Fuck you, Japan. Read my lips loud and clear. I do not dance on top of grinder organs for peanuts.
This really symbolizes what is probably Ryan's most notable character trait, which is his pride. A lot of Ryan's vlogs suggest that he thinks that he's better than everyone. For instance, he's convinced that women find him irresistible.
Some people think that when I'm with a beautiful woman, that I paid her, I'm holding her hostage, or I have given her drugs because, look, some guys are so insecure, some weeaboos, not some weeaboos, all weeaboos, they're so insecure, they just cannot imagine a guy like me could get a beautiful woman like you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to clarify things. And how could you not come back to this?
Oh, that really turned me on, and apparently I'm not the only one. According to him, even his students in Japan wanted a piece of him.
You know, try not to mix work and pleasure, but sometimes even my students, even my coworkers wanted a piece of this, you know? And they knew I was stacking that ice.
Okay. Ryan's life in Japan can pretty much be summed up as a car wreck. It was pretty obvious to many people that even when Ryan was in a long-term relationship with Rosie and living a rather stable, conventional life in Japan as a J-vlogger, that he was clearly on the road to becoming a passport bro. Ryan has what I would call a superiority complex that, when not validated, eventually turns into a victim complex. The short-lived life of a passport bro is typically that they go to a foreign land in search of fair maidens and untapped riches. They realize that life is actually pretty hard abroad, and they promptly return home. Passport bros and sexpats will often blame their lack of success, both in their careers abroad and with foreign women, on the fact that they've been sold a lie. They realize that expat life isn't as glamorous as it looks online. They realize that foreign women actually have brains and aren't docile, submissive props. The women who are interested in them are usually interested in them for one thing and one thing only. And although the passport bro will delude himself for a while, eventually he can't really fool himself. As I've said, Ryan believes that he is irresistible to women. In fact, according to Ryan, the reason he didn't date women in the United States was because he was overwhelmed by how many women were trying to pursue him. He said this during a period when he was temporarily living in his van in Arizona, as well as couch surfing at a friend's place. And in his own words, no matter what he did, American women chased him and bothered him.
Why didn't you date someone over there? You were not ready to date?
Just too many women trying to get at me, and I was overwhelmed. So, you know, I was more focused on find a van, you know, find my direction in life right now, because I just left. I just come from. But again, I like to stay away from clubs because I don't like to get chased down by women. I have a problem. Everywhere I go, women chase me, bother me, ask for my number, so I don't want to deal with it. I was with my friend and his girlfriend. I wanted to be a good guest to them and, you know, spend my time with them. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And I'm sure it doesn't surprise you.
No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. This is like when I tell myself that I'm in my single era. I just don't have time to date with all the work I'm doing and the goals I'm trying to achieve and that I've set for myself. But actually, if somebody asked me out, I'd be like, yes, I'm free Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday through to Sunday, and oh, did I say Wednesday? I can squeeze you in from about 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. But of course, I'm just so overwhelmed and inundated with attention from all these pesky women wanting a piece of my Yule log. But I don't know what I just said. Like most passport bros, Ryan has a difficult time seeing girls as anything but their looks.
Ooh, some pretty girls out here too.
Ryan knows a lot about Japanese women, like, you know, their individual hopes and dreams, as well as the thoughts going through their minds.
You know, Japanese women are so competitive, and I think this just goes over a lot of foreigners' heads that, you know, and a lot of J-vloggers, I don't think they get this. But when you've been here for a while, you really notice it. They're extremely competitive. If this girl has this brand, I gotta get it too, because I gotta get that Japanese husband who's gonna buy me a house so I don't have to work anymore and I can be a housewife. I mean, it's a fierce competition. They're fighting for the prize. Sorry guys, they're not fighting for gaijin. Sorry to tell you that.
Oh, we know, Ryan. They're fighting for you. He has a habit of filming any of the women he's in a relationship with or spending the night with when they're either getting dressed or undressed, which suggests to me that he has a need to prove to the internet that he is actually, allegedly, irresistible to women. Now, it was very obvious to most people watching Ryan's audacity and vlogs that Japanese women weren't like American women who apparently chased chased and bothered him. In fact, if anything, he was the one doing the chasing and the bothering. One of his most viral videos, titled Beautiful Japanese Woman, is literally a video of him just filming random Japanese women going about their day. There are easily over 30 women featured in this very creepy video, and although most of them knew that he was filming them whilst trying to go about their lives, some of these women were clearly not aware of what Ryan was doing, as he stood behind them on an escalator or just filmed them waiting at a pedestrian crossing, as one does. It's only very recently that this kind of thing has started to be criminalized in Japan because of how common an issue it is for men to film Japanese girls and women without their consent in this, can I reiterate, very creepy way. And I just don't feel that a man who is seemingly irresistible to women, who is fending them off left, right, and center, would feel any need to do this and post this online for over 300,000 people to see. But that's just me. I would argue that when Ryan's superiority complex wasn't validated in Japan, when women weren't chasing him, when he wasn't enjoying his jobs as an English teacher, he basically, probably subconsciously, decided to become a victim of being the only white guy in the room. During his years as a J-vlogger, Ryan would become known as the most persecuted white man in Japan.
Just make this observation, guys. White guy, Japanese for miles. All you can see is Japanese. Imagine what it feels like being the only white guy among hundreds and thousands of Japanese people.
You know, I bet this is how the first Portuguese navigators felt when they landed on Japan's shores. Ryan would start a series on his channel called Dreamcatcher, in which he essentially moaned about how terrible, depressing, and unfriendly Japan was. The summers were too hot, the winters were too cold, and pretty Japanese women weren't swooning around him. Now, these Dream Crusher videos caused him much controversy and started off a virtual war between himself and the wider J-vlogging community, a community which he had pretty much dismissed as all being weeaboos. In one of his most disliked videos, he'd compare a Japanese kid calling him a foreigner to a black friend of his being called the N-word. I am not kidding.
But this one little boy out of the three pointed at me and he said something like, Henna gaikokujin, you know, like it's a strange foreigner. You know, of course that made me bad. It made me feel like, it reminded me of my friend. I used to have this friend, her name was from my college days. She was a black girl, we were actually roommates, and it reminded me of her story where she went to a Walmart and a little white girl riding in her mom's basket that she was pushing around the store pointed to her and said, "Mommy, there's a nigger." That's what that situation reminded me of. And you know, you might think it's okay the first time you come to Japan, and maybe the first few times it happens, you know, you're like, oh, huh. But you might not even realize it if you don't understand Japanese. You know, newbies that come here, they think that Japan is such a welcoming country, and oh, I was in Japan and everybody loved me, everybody was so friendly. But they don't get that kind of treat, like you're treated like you just got off the boat. It doesn't matter if you've been here 1 week or 10 years. You're always treated like that.
You know when something is just lacking in so much self-awareness that all you can do is laugh? What's worse is that he didn't even censor out the N-word. He said it with his full persecuted chest. And speaking about chest, do you like mine? Yes, you do. This is a sneaky little merch plug. You can get my merch by using the link down in the description box. My merch store is closing in January, so be sure to get your cat merch, your deep dive merch, your Kidology merch as soon as possible. And a portion of all profits go to Gaza's Children, a non-profit organization supporting the mental health of Palestinian children. I think their work is absolutely incredible and vital, and I thank you so much for your support. These t-shirts are 100% natural cotton and are so comfortable. I can confirm that they will repel passport bros. The link is in the description. Another one of Ryan's biggest controversies in Japan was perhaps his infamous Gaijin hunter shaming video. Now, when it came to Ryan's war with the weeaboos and the Japanese public at large, they basically called him what is known as a Gaijin, which essentially translates to foreigner. But for people like Ryan, this term carries some negative connotations, like you'll always be an outsider or you'll never be Japanese enough, etc. As we know, Ryan thinks that Japanese people are unfriendly. However, he also dislikes what are called Gaijin hunters. These are Japanese people who purposefully seek out Westerners in order to either date them, in order to either marry them, to gain social clout from them, improve their English by befriending them. Basically, a Japanese equivalent of a passport bro, like Ryan. Ryan would make a video of himself interacting with a so-called Gaijin hunter. In the video, he states that he was just out filming on a Friday night, minding his own business, because it's totally minding your own business to film people out on a Friday night. A guy says, "Welcome to Japan," and instantly Ryan informs us that this is racism.
Welcome to Japan.
He compares this to if he said "Welcome to America" to every black person and Hispanic person he encounters, which is a bizarre comparison to make.
There's people that are dying.
98% of Japan's population is ethnically Japanese. Their history and demographic makeup is entirely different and not diverse at all. Seeing a white person in Japan is a pretty rare and new thing, actually. But Ryan then complains that it's impossible for someone like him to assimilate in Japan because of the discrimination he faces, which, forgive me, but I think history shows that the immigrant experience is one where total assimilation is impossible. I mean, I will never be British. People will always compliment me on how good my English is. I'll inevitably have my annual encounter. But when someone comes up to me, shakes my hand and asks me where I'm from, mind you, black British people do this to me as much as white British people do, my immediate reaction isn't going to be racism. Typically, I just call it unsubtle curiosity and nosiness. This guy was having a conversation with Ryan, telling him his age, that he's a college student, and asking Ryan where he's from. Yet Ryan, who finds the Japanese population unfriendly, says that he found the conversation both boring and pointless. You know, I bet if this student had been a woman, this conversation would have been the most exhilarating thing to have happened to Ryan all week. Another general controversy of Ryan's was his claiming to have enough savings to retire in his 40s, as well as his belief that he was better with money than pretty much the whole debt-ridden population of America.
Never buy things if you can't pay for them in cash. Just really easy concepts that a lot of Americans can't even conceive of living by. And apparently a lot of Americans don't live by those concepts. They get credit cards and they spend more money than they have, and then they get into this giant snowball of debt.
Ryan would make a pretty viral video in 2016 addressing accusations that his expat lifestyle was a scam, that he wasn't actually financially secure and had no savings.
So people say that I'm broke, or that I don't work, or that I'm lazy, or I'm poor. I don't know why they assume that. I worked really hard in Japan. But you know what, I do know why they say that. It doesn't matter what good you're doing in life, because of people's own insecurities, they're gonna put you down. And the thing is I realize that, and I don't let it get to me. It doesn't get to me.
At the time, he'd moved from Japan to Thailand and would admit that he was no longer as financially secure as he was in Japan, because in Thailand, he'd finally decided to stop working and retire. Now, Ryan tells many different stories about why he all of a sudden, after years of misery and racial discrimination, left Japan. Probably the most well-known of the stories is that he left because, and I quote, "Japan was just too easy for him."
I mean, look how much I've done with my life. I've done so much more than a weeaboo could ever achieve, you know? I grew up in America, I went to university, I went to Japan when I was young. I was successful there with money, women, my social game, everything. Then I got tired of Japan. because it was too easy for me. I left Japan. I've traveled the world. I've lived in other countries, Thailand, the Philippines.
He'd last a mere 8 months in Thailand, going to bars where he tried to learn Thai from barmaids he'd attempt to pick up.
คนมาพัทยาผมอยู่ที่กรุงเทพประมาณ3 เดือน
I love how it's totally okay for him to learn Thai by speaking to a Thai hostess, but it is totally, entirely, fundamentally unacceptable and for a Japanese man, a Gasian hunter, to dare speak English to him in his own country. Similarly to his generalizations and stereotypes of Japanese people, Ryan would do the same with Thais when he announced that he no longer intended to retire in Thailand.
There is definitely an us and them mentality among the Thai people. A lot of Thai vloggers are trying to paint Thailand as this perfect utopia, and Thailand is the perfect place to retire and live forever. But it's not the perfect place. And yes, Thai people are friendly on a superficial level, but the truth is they're scared as shit of foreigners. And they either are scared of you or they want something from you. So for you Thai vloggers out there who are trying to paint Thailand as this perfect utopia, shame on you.
He claimed that he was bored and wanted to seek out better experiences for himself, which ultimately resulted in him going back to Japan and getting back together with Rosie. Unfortunately for him, their reunion would not last long. Ryan would claim that the reason him and Rosie broke up had to do with the fact that she wanted to get married, she wanted to settle down and start a family with him. However, he had 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out. He didn't want to spend his money settling down in a house, for instance, and instead would have rather traveled on the road with an RV.
You know, I didn't always have a chance to vlog it, but let's be real, I had a lot of top model looking girls around me all the time. So it's no surprise that who, let's be honest, was one of the most beautiful Japanese women in Japan, if not the world. It doesn't surprise me that she was with me.
He would say that because there were so many women around in Japan, there was a lot of temptation, which caused strain in their relationship. Not that any of that temptation seemed interested in him, but I digress. I think this is a brilliant example of Ryan not knowing what he actually wants, yet simultaneously claiming to be in pursuit of a happy, meaningful life that he can't actually define.
People always say, well, maybe Japan is not the problem, but you're the problem. No, Japan is the problem, and there's no excuses for the way they treat foreigners and their ignorance towards their relations with foreigners. So to sum things up, yeah, I think that getting away helped a lot. It helped lower my stress level. I feel a lot better. My life is a lot less stressful than it was before I went to Thailand. I don't regret any Dream Crusher video I've ever made. All those things are still true. And the one way that I know how I'm going to mentally survive Japan again is if I know I'm gonna leave again.
After quite literally sneaking out in the dead of night, and I mean literally, Ryan would leave Rosie for the second and final time. He would move to the Philippines to unwind for a few months before returning to Japan to work and save some money for no longer than a year. I was so glad to see how well that retirement was working out for him. He wouldn't upload to YouTube at all during this time, and people would assume that he'd simply quit J-vlogging or that he was simply back in the United States trying to establish his roots again. Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected him to make his vlogging comeback in quite the way that he did. Ryan would call this the third chapter of his life, and this chapter would cement him as what could easily be called YouTube's most delusional, deplorable, and degenerate passport pro out there. I just need to warn you that what lies ahead is going to either educate you or corrupt you. Viewer discretion is heavily advised. One thing that Ryan didn't like about his time in Thailand was how lacking in purity and innocence Thai women were compared to Japanese women. One thing that I find most interesting about Ryan is that he's very progressive in his social thinking, especially when it comes to the topical political issues of the day. He was very pro-trans rights during his time in Thailand, but like most passport bros, he's nonetheless attracted to feminine and traditional traits in women, specifically in young women. Thailand was not the place for him, even though he'd remind us, as he constantly does, of how successful he is with women no matter where in the world he is.
Okay, as a straight male who's successful with women like I am, you meet lots of women, and you meet so many women, and you meet so many women that are into you that it's something. It's rare when you find yourself thinking about a female, like more than just, oh yeah, I met this girl today.
He also didn't like Thailand because, like in Japan, he didn't feel like he could assimilate or that Thai people were truly accepting him, spending his nights at bars trying to pick up Thai women. So naturally, Ryan would make the seamless transition from East and Southeast Asian woman to East African woman. Ryan would spend some time in Uganda, but he rarely found his home and his roots in Kenya. You would think that the most persecuted white man in Japan, who desires nothing more than to be accepted and assimilated into a country, would, I don't know, try not to be the only white guy in the village. But alas, Ryan wasn't in Kenya to assimilate, oh no. Ryan was wife hunting.
Are you looking for a husband?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking for something serious.
And how old are you?
24.
Okay.
How would you talk to Quadri?
Turn around. Turn around. Like, turn around so I can see. Yeah, there you go. Oh my god. Come back here. You're too sexy. You look like a model, actually. Really? What, give me a 180. Ooh, look at that figure. Yeah, baby. Let me... Oh.
And you'd think that a wife hunter would want to wine and dine a woman, surely. Oh no.
Well, let me be clear. I've never been on a real date here in East Africa where I meet a girl, wine her and dine her, pay for everything. Have never done that. The kind of dates I do are free dates. We'll meet at the beach, go on a walk, sit in the grass, go to a garden, something like that. I never spend money on women.
Ah, now I know why the ladies are so obsessed with him. Ryan basically divides African women into two categories. The first being princesses and the second being all the rest. Princesses are basically the most beautiful African women, but they unfortunately want to be treated like royalty, which to Ryan means that when he invites them over to his house, they don't cook or clean his house.
I guess what really got to me is like these princess girls. They would come to my house, but they wouldn't cook or clean or help me with anything around the house. And yeah, they were pretty, but I just knew they were no good.
Can I repeat? When he invites African women over to his house as guests, he doesn't understand why they don't cook or clean for him, why they don't clean his house and cook food for him in his house as guests.
And there were girls that would come over and they just wanted to lounge and watch movies all day. And then when it came time to eat, they wanted me to like order a pizza and have it delivered or something. And yeah, that kind of told me all I needed to know right there. Is like, okay, well, you know.
The fact that this is the definition of being a princess is sending me. This is delusion on steroids. Now, Ryan's content during this time essentially involved him putting a different woman in front of the camera immediately after one of their sessions so that she could either listen to him monologuing about how degenerate, robotic, and lacking in cultural experience Americans and Japanese people are, or more importantly, rate his performance.
How was it for you, baby? How was it? How was tonight? Was it magical?
Nice.
You think I made you pregnant today?
Maybe. I don't know.
Most likely.
Nothing says I'm secure more than asking a woman how magical it was afterwards and whether you impregnated her.
Did you have a good one? Good session?
It was nice. I did enjoy. I liked it.
What did you like about it, baby? So I've been living overseas for over 20 years. And they asked me, are you even listening, sweetie?
No.
Do you care? Or are you just thinking about getting it in again?
He'd entertain these women by, for instance, telling stories of how one time he was accused of filming children. Yes.
Even if I had filmed the kids, it wouldn't have been illegal. But anyways, I didn't. The camera was on me the whole time. He showed him the video, and he's like, okay. He's like, you know, some concerned parent called and said you were filming their children, which is like a big freaking deal in America. Like, people are just so up their asses and want to just assert their rights, and they're just suspicious of everybody. Okay.
The level of I don't care on her face is a whole mood. And after he tells her about nearly being arrested for being suspected of filming children, she doesn't seem convinced that he didn't do it and tries to convince him to pay off the police.
Yeah, I felt like crap, you know, and I didn't even do anything wrong.
So did they like go on with the research? Like,
Did they follow up on it? There's nothing to follow up on. I don't have a police record. I don't have a criminal record. You can pay a. You
so
can,
even
you
if
can,
you are
listen. You can.
even if you are taking the video about the child, still when they told
I didn't take a video of a freaking child.
yes, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's official. Ryan gives off creeper vibes, but he wasn't going to let that kill the mood. Oh no. Lord, give me strength. In his wife hunting series, Ryan would film his dates with women. Clearly, he brought a particular kind of joy to the lives of many prospective wives.
That's attraction, baby. That
Yeah,
means
it's
you're getting hot because of me and my face and my aura, my alphaness. Did you get wet? I'm not surprised. My presence produces that kind of reaction in women.
Oh, I can assure you, not in this woman, Ryan. But that's no bother, because Ryan is clearly very well adjusted and humble enough to accept that he's not everybody's cup of tea.
So, like, what's it like in the mind of a woman when she comes across an alpha lion like me? Look how much I've done with my life. I've done so much more than a weeaboo could ever achieve. They can't even imagine being as awesome as me. They can't even imagine being a lion.
I stand corrected. Now imagine having this conversation with the person you've just had a little fun with and having his arm around you. There's nowhere to go but into that safe, happy place full of rainbows and flowers. And then you just remember how he says,
Satisfied.
and suddenly there's no more rainbows and flowers. There's no more safe, happy place. In one video, Ryan would spend the first minute just filming his date's rear end because, well, nothing says happy marriage more than filming and uploading your new girlfriend's attributes to let people know that you are serious. Ryan was basically in yet another war with his followers who were convinced that he was paying for his numerous sessions. Ryan was adamant that he wasn't paying for these sessions, that all these women were with him of their own free volition and because they wanted to be around him.
Have I given you money?
No.
Am I holding you hostage? Have I paid you any money? Have I paid for your time? Have I paid for the best lovemaking you've ever had in the world? Have I paid for that?
No.
Yeah. Do I pay other women to have the best lovemaking experience they've ever had in their life? Do I pay them? I don't. I don't. In fact, some might be inclined to actually pay me.
You know, I just love how when he talks to all these women about himself, of course, not one of them is remotely interested.
I was gonna live inside my van. Do you know what a van is?
I know a van.
My plan was to live inside my van and travel around the country
With that van.
Yeah, and enjoy my life.
In my humble African opinion, it's pretty small-minded to think that an African woman fluent in English doesn't know what a van is.
Do you know what a van is?
But of course, I'm African. How would I know?
Woman! 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 Here's my request. I need coffee, so make that happen. Alright, sweetie, let's wrap this up. You're boring me, so let's call it a day.
The way he talks to women just tells me how many of them he's clearly attracting.
It's kind of funny. You're more into you than you are into me.
Who doesn't
Red
love
flags.
themselves?
Red flag.
Oh my god. Don't you love yourself?
No, when I'm with
I'm
when I'm with a
obsessed.
girl, I admire her. I don't admire myself.
Flashback.
They can't even imagine being as awesome as me. They can't even imagine being a lion.
Him moving to Africa to connect with as many women as possible is definitely signaling that he puts women before himself, is definitely not giving red flags. Now, I would just like to formally apologize for subjecting you to this, but at this point, we're in too deep to back out now, brethren. Full steam ahead. Now, in total, Ryan spent 5 whole years years in Uganda and Kenya, probably spreading his seed farther and wider than any of his over 100 videos on the subject would suggest. He would, out of the blue, stop posting on YouTube and social media for 4 months in 2024. And this was pretty unusual for him. People wondered what had happened to Ryan Boundless, the White Knight of Africa. Well, in August of 2024, Ryan would return to YouTube with an unexpected update.
Hey guys, how's it going? Ryan Boundless here. Just chilling in my car here in Florida. The last time I made a video was probably 3 or 4 months ago, and I was talking about how I needed to leave Uganda because I was running out of money.
I thought, like most passport bros, that he had enough money to retire and never work again. Having started to run out of money in Africa, a now 50-year-old Ryan returned to the US, and this really symbolized a new beginning for him. An opportunity to get a steady job, save some money, and figure out what he wanted to do for the rest of his life.
So I've been living in my car now for, about 3 weeks. I've been living in my car for 3 weeks, and I love it. Like, I'm so happy. I love it. I mean,
the thing that I love about Ryan is that he will always, without fail, make everything sound like it was his choice, that he is the captain of his voyage. And I do admire that mindset. There's absolutely nothing wrong and nothing shameful about living in your car. Times are bloody tough, and everyone is trying their best in a world that isn't giving much back. However, something tells me that Ryan is still the same old Ryan. His misfortunes are not because of his bad decisions, but because of not being accepted, because of him being mistreated and discriminated against, of him not being as small-minded as those around him and expecting more out of life than financial responsibility. Ironically, Ryan was back to his roots. Before he'd left the US for Japan all those years ago, he'd been a cab driver in his 20s, and now at 50, he was a taxi driver again. For a man who hates the grind, he's truly gone full circle. He'd soon find a job that he enjoyed more, allowing him to leave his car during the day for work, returning only to sleep and drink when the party mood hit. And even at his rock bottom, Ryan still found the time to objectify women.
yeah, actually I work on like college campuses, kind of. Not every day, but sometimes. And, you know, I'm interacting with students. And so when I say we, I'm like me and my coworkers, we went to this one college the other day, and like I couldn't believe what I saw. We get onto campus. I'm not joking you. There were girls walking through the campus in their bikinis. The girls here in southern Florida, and maybe this is all over America, I can't say, because, you know, this is my first time living in America after 25 years, so I can only speak for southern Florida right now, but 50% of the girls were wearing bikinis, you know, and they're just like striding through the campus, you know, moving their hips, like looking hot and sexy. And it was like that, and, you know, I mean, girls will deny this up and down, but I mean, they're horny young girls. The hormones are just popping off, and they're there to get laid. Let's call a spade a spade. They're there to get laid. They'll deny it up and down, you know. Oh no, I was just, you know, me and my friends went to the pool and we had to walk to the dorms in our bikinis.
Young women wear bikinis during the hottest month of the year in Florida on the campus where they live, which must therefore mean they want to get laid. Now, if you believe this, masculinity has failed you, patriarchal indoctrination has polluted you, and your only hope of recovery is to meaningfully read something like this, to deconstruct your mind and to view women as complex individuals in their own right. But I don't think Ryan is doing much reading in his car. Oh no. A lot of his time is still dedicated to talking Japan.
If you live in Japan long enough, you can predict almost 100% how a Japanese person is going to respond to any given scenario and anything you say to them. It's so boring. It's like you're living in an AI world where you're just talking to programmed, like, not even humans but machines, and you know the way they're going to respond because they're machines.
I will never get over the appeal in reducing 124 million people to robots. That is truly a choice. Ryan has made sure to inform us that living in his car in the US is preferable to living in Japan.
How's it been living 2 months in my car? Well, I know a lot of you would like me to regret it and say I hate it. And how could you move from Japan to now living in your car in the United States? The truth is, I love this more than living in Japan. Gotta tell you that. I mean, my car is about the size of a Japanese apartment, except I don't have to pay rent.
You know, just putting to one side how obviously insulting this is to homeless people, I guess I can admire his resilience in the face of homelessness. But to essentially state that being homeless is preferable to living in Japan, that this...
I just rolled out of bed and took a huge morning deuce. I usually don't take morning deuces in the car, but sometimes I just don't feel like getting outside of my car
is preferable to having a smart toilet is wild, insane, bonkers, berserk, ridiculous, nonsensical, daft, outrageous, absurd, but most of all, so incredibly insulting to a country that hosted you for nearly 2 decades, paid your salaries, helped you to master Japanese, was the sole reason you had your YouTube career, and gave you access to a loving relationship. This is just a beautiful instance of lacking self-awareness in the face of adversity, which is usually the point where people have the most self-awareness. But Ryan is clearly built different. In fact, he believes that he's ahead of everybody else.
And I do spend quite a lot. I mean, it's not cheap here in America, but I still feel like I'm ahead of everybody else because even though, yeah, I do spend what feels like a lot of money. You got to remember, I just came from Uganda, but I do feel like I spend a lot on food here, but I justify it by saying I'm not paying any rent. So it's okay, Ryan, enjoy, eat what you want to eat. If you're going to spend $25 on dinner tonight, go for it. Spoil yourself.
This is a level of confidence that I've only seen particular men and influencers have, and I am in absolute awe.
Put the seat down like that. So I basically have an L-shaped sofa here. I can relax my legs like that or like that. And I'm reclined on my seat. So I'm just like sitting back into my seat, just chilling here. It's very comfortable. And if you're jealous of my life, it's okay. We can still be friends.
I need this level of confidence. I would get very far. Ryan's life on the road has essentially revolved around deciding at which fast food establishment, bush or golf course he's going to empty his bowels at. Actually, correction, he deuces in his car.
So I took a deuce in the car, and I don't, not to get too graphic or detailed about it, I've gotten it down to a way that's pretty comfortable and not messy. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So I'm fixing up breakfast.
The transition from talking about defecating in the same car that you work your Uber and Lyft job in to making breakfast is... There's something cognitive happening. And whilst deucing in his car, Ryan has also had a lot of time to think about his future plans. According to him, there is a reason why he's living in his car, and that has everything to do with his future plans to procreate.
Because I know how men are. It's like, we're just like horny bobbleheads up until about 50. And even after 50, it's rough. But finally, I'm starting to feel a little bit of calmness in my life in regards to the horniness level, where I can just I still love women, but God, man, constantly chase and tail and thinking about sex and getting sex, it's exhausting, I finally feel like I have a little bit of calmness where I can focus on having a family and focusing on having a good relationship with my son or my daughter.
Firstly, Ryan doesn't just want to save money. He wants to save money in order to purchase land, to build a home, or purchase property outright. He believes he'll be able to do this within the next few years. Secondly, and I think most importantly, Ryan wants to have a child when he's between the ages of 55 and 60, no sooner and no later.
The time's gonna come when I am financially comfortable and I can have a 20 or a 30-year-old girlfriend when I'm 60 and give us a comfortable life and have a son or a daughter. But yeah, I want to get that solved by the time by at least 60, right? But I'm shooting for 55.
Ryan believes that as a father-to-be, his only job is to provide financial stability for his wife so that she can raise their child on the land that he's going to buy within the next few years. He doesn't believe a man should change a diaper, let alone touch a diaper. He also doesn't believe that a father needs to be at all present in the first 5 years of a child's life.
I don't believe that a man needs to be in a child's life for the first 5 years. a man doesn't need to be there. All an infant needs is like milk and a mother, like a mother to be motherly and that feminine nurturing way that just a man doesn't have. And they need their diapers changed, and all that is relegated to a woman. And women are they're just more predisposed to deal with that stuff. The crying, the screeching, the screaming, the dirty diapers, the temper tantrums. Like, women are predispositioned and they're geared towards dealing with that stuff. Men aren't. I don't feel like I am. But like if I have a child when I'm 55 or 60, calm, patient, loving, I got the long-term vision, you know, totally different person. I think I would be a great father in my 50s or 60s compared to my 20s. You know, and some people say, oh, well, you know, you're going to be old, you're not going to have enough energy to keep up with children, young children. Well, yeah, I mean, I can definitely feel my age physically, but I'm not an out of shape 55-year-old guy or 60. I'm not going to be an out of shape 55-year-old or 60-year-old guy. And my wife is going to be in her 20s, so she'll have the energy to take care of them. And I basically think that it's like, that's the woman's job, is to take care. She's the primary caretaker. My job is to take care of her, make sure she's okay, you know. And like I get to just enjoy playing with the children. I don't have to get into the diaper changing and the temper tantrums and all that. No, that's the woman's job.
Wow. Just wow. Now, based on all of this, you would think that Ryan would be intent on finally holding down a job, especially if he's looking to save for land.
My last day was November 5th. After all those jobs ended, I took about a week off and just relaxed in my car and kind of thought about what I was going to do next. And I thought that I was just going to look for another full-time job there in North Miami. Then there's just one thing that I just got exhausted from living here in Southern Florida, and that's the heat. I've never liked living in a humid place, whether it was a Japanese summer, Thailand.
Why? If you know that you hate the humidity and heat in Japan, would you stay in Florida?
Hey, what's up, guys? Just arrived in Minneapolis about an hour ago. It's fucking freezing here.
Why? If you know that you hate the cold from your years in Japan, would you stay in Minneapolis? Ryan also has absolutely no motivation to go overseas to find a wife because foreign women are, quote, pariahs.
I actually have no motivation to go overseas to find a wife. I just don't, because I know that they're just like pariahs, man. In that relationship, all of the benefit is for them.
The fact that he thinks foreign women are pariahs when he's previously spent an entire video filming a woman's butt in public and made a whole series asking women how good he is in bed right after the fact it's the epitome of saying, I have never introspected. However, Ryan also knows that it'll be easier for him to get a foreign woman in her 20s than an American woman in her 20s.
You know, like, would I date an American woman? I would if she was in her 20s and she was into me and I was into her. I could do that. But is it likely? Is it realistic? I would say the probability is higher that I could meet a beautiful woman overseas in South America, Africa, Asia, wherever. I would say the probability is higher there.
Ryan wants to buy land in the States, but he also apparently doesn't want to raise his future offspring in America in fear that the child will take for granted a life of abundance.
If I had a child with a Ugandan woman, I would want my child to actually, I'd actually want them to grow up in Uganda for part of their life, to not take this life of abundance we have in America here for granted. I would want them to have that humbleness instilled in them.
You're living in your car, hating your life as an Uber driver, somewhere in North Dakota with no money, and you're talking about not wanting your future child to take for granted a life of abundance. Now, as you can probably tell, Ryan inevitably finds himself in a quagmire that is entirely of his own making. It's become clear over the past few months that the delusion of car life being this big, wonderful, hustling adventure isn't coming to fruition.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm still able to save money, but I just can't save as much as I thought I would because it's just so dang expensive here. So it looks like what I've had to do is just adjust my timeline. Things aren't happening as quick as I thought they would, but that's okay. Here I am, 50 years old, single guy, no family, no children, no assets, no property, no home. Really, the only thing I have of value is this car that I'm in.
He doesn't like working for Uber. He actually doesn't like working very much at all, really. He wants to buy land in states that he can't afford to, and he isn't getting much action living and defecating in his Toyota. The difficult thing with Ryan, which is actually very clever of him, is that because he claims to be living his best life, he is adamant that anyone who says otherwise is merely projecting their insecurities and their fears onto him.
The point is yeah, just there's a lot of people watching my life and projecting their own fears and how they feel onto me, and I'm a different person, so yeah, it's kind of pointless to do that.
Because living in his car was his choice, this is a mere stepping stone, an adventure, a single bachelor on the road saving money and exploring the southeastern United States. And yes, it is very true that he doesn't have to answer to anybody, that he doesn't have to pay rent. And yet, a big part of growing up, of learning the valuable life skills needed to be an adult, is taking on financial responsibilities, spending your money on paying bills that just keep getting higher and higher and higher. And a big part of preparing to get married and having kids is acquiring the skills to put the needs of the marriage and of your children before your own desire to just get up and move when the mood hits you. If you don't want that, fine. But if, like Ryan, you're claiming to be living in your car in order to save, to buy land, and marry a 20-something-year-old to have a full-on child with, people critiquing your life choices isn't projection. It's a reality check. That he expects to achieve all of this within the next 9 years is intriguing to me. And when I say that I am rooting for him, I mean it. I want him to buy his land. I want him to buy his house or live off his land. I want him to attract and marry a 20-something-year-old, preferably an American woman because she's less likely to be a pariah. I want him to procreate with her, and I want him to move her to Kenya so that she and his child don't take for granted the abundant life he's giving them.
My mind is geared towards having my own land, having a little homestead.
A few moments later.
I have no carpentry skills, building skills. I don't have a really solid grasp on things like sewage, electricity.
The fact that he seemingly hasn't been dating or attracting any of the American women who seemingly bother and chase him so much, and yet expects to marry one of them, is equally fascinating to me. But the thing with Ryan is that when the delusion doesn't become reality, he blames everything and everybody else for the problems that he himself creates. In Ryan's case, he sees Americans as being too small-minded, Japanese people as being too small-minded, and foreign women as being pariahs. He always has to leave someplace because of everything and everyone but himself. There is minimal introspection because introspection would probably tell him a lot about himself that he has no interest in knowing. Now, obviously, Ryan got big time mad that people think he is delusional.
So what's your fucking problem? Why are you on my dream? Look, I can have a wife that's 20 years old when I am 60. I can do that. I don't need your fucking permission. I can buy land with cash for $40,000 or less. I don't need your permission. I can live in a yurt if I want to. I don't need your permission. I don't care what you say. Telling me I can't do this, I can't do that. I've done a lot of things in life that people didn't think I could do. I've done them. The problem is your limited thinking. That's the problem. You can't imagine doing it yourself, so you believe that somebody else can't do it. I don't even have to make these fucking videos.
For somebody who doesn't care what people think about him and his life choices, Ryan does spend a lot of time and energy responding to what people think and say about him and his life choices.
Hey guys, day 319 living in my car. Still smells good. It's still my little house. I eat in it, I sleep in it, I crap in it, I daydream in it. I listen to the rain outside while I'm laying in my bed in it. I live my life in it.
Ryan hasn't posted on YouTube for over 6 months, and nobody has heard a peep or a deuce out of him. Usually when this happens, he comes back announcing that he's living in another country, that he isn't assimilating, and that all the people in his host country are discriminating against him or something. It will be most interesting to see where and what this passport bro gets up to next. But in the meantime, ladies, try to resist everything I've shown you in this little deep dive, because as we've seen, Ryan is truly irresistible and he's currently wife hunting. It's likely that you're already sliding into his DMs, prepping for that glorious, abundant life, raising his child without his input for the first 5 years. Be sure to invite me to the wedding. Let me know what you think about passport bros, and especially about Ryan Boundless, the man, the myth, the lion. I have no words of wisdom. I have no words of hope. I'm just stunned. I am quite sure Gen X doesn't claim him, but I am kind of impressed at how well he juggles being a progressive nomad with having the self-awareness levels of a MAGA bro. I wouldn't say this was fun, but it was different. I don't think I can do this again. Let me know who you'd like me to cover next. And happy holidays. I cannot believe it is already nearly 2026. I'm just going to be at home with my cat, finishing some work deadlines and editing my annual Q&A, because it is soon to be, I'm sorry, I can't believe it. It is soon to be my 5-year anniversary on YouTube. I cannot believe it. I feel so young and yet so old all at the same time. If you've been here since the good old days, make yourself known down below, and I thank you so much, each and every one of you. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, and with Ryan about, stay safe out there, brethren. And I'll see all of you very, very soon in the next one. I will be making a community post, but please do leave me questions on that community post so that I can do my annual Q&A. There are so many more of you now, so, you know, ask me things. A lot has changed. Let's just say that.